There are hundreds of management consulting firms out there. How can you ensure to land the best offer you can get? How to break into Tier 1 and Tier 2 management consulting firms if you got the skills that it takes. Watch my video and you will learn all about it. I'm Gabriel Goldbrain and I developed the Goldbrain SUCCESS Training. This training helps you break into Tier 1 and Tier 2 consulting and outperform all the unprepared candidates. Visit my website www.gabrielgoldbrain.com to find out more about this marvelous training program. Let's dive right into it. You wonder how students of the Goldbrain SUCCESS Training break into Tier 1 and Tier 2 consulting firms? It's quite easy. They follow a 3-step process. First, the students of the Goldbrain SUCCESS Training, they compile a list of their top 15 to top 25 management consulting firms they want to work for. For sure, almost everyone has McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, and Bain on their list. Other firms may be LEK, Oliver Wyman, Roland Berger, and many other Tier 2 and Tier 3 consulting firms. In a second step, you rank those firms according to the criteria which matter to you most. One important factor, for sure, is the salary, the career opportunities, the areas in which these firms are strong, what industry experience you have, which industries you are particularly interested in, and then you will get a list of your 20 firms ranked by preference. And so, in a third step, you will apply to these firms. And exactly that is what we are now talking about. How should you apply to these firms to make sure that you end up with the best offer you can get? Besides being unprepared, the biggest mistake people make is that they apply to their most preferred firms first. It's such a stupid idea. I just can't tell how stupid that is. These are usually the toughest firms to get in, and so why should you apply to them first? It doesn't make any sense. Rather, go with your least preferred firms first. What does that mean? That means if you mess it up, it won't matter, or it won't matter much, because you did have it right at the bottom of your priority list anyway. So, work your way from the bottom of the priority list to the top of your priority list. Be patient. Don't face the most difficult firms first. Imagine it is like a computer game. You won't fight the end boss in the beginning because you will lose. You're not trained, you're not prepared. You didn't do all the hard fighting in a kind of a computer game. Master less powerful enemies and smaller bosses first, because they will help you grow. You will see how case interviews work, what questions you have to answer, and that way you grow steadily in the process. And then after about 2 to 3 months of interviewing, you're ready for the end boss. You're prepared for Tier 2 and your Tier 1 preference interviews. Don't fight the end boss without proper preparation, without being ready. I mean, it's a natural thing. Everyone thinks this is logical. But why so many people still do the application process in the wrong way? I don't understand it. But I just wanted to make it clear with this video. Follow this way from your bottom priorities to the top priorities. Because you make your biggest mistake with the least important firms, it's quite likely that you get the best offer you can. Because you optimize the process, you basically made all the mistakes with the firms where it matters the least. And then hopefully when you approach your most preferred companies, you won't do the same mistakes which dropped you out with your less preferred firms. So that way you probably get an offer as good as you can with your specific set of skills. And okay, sometimes you got to acknowledge, maybe I was not the guy to go into McKinsey, to be into BCG. But if you start your career at a good tier 2 firm, who cares? I mean, Carney is not a bad firm. LEK, an excellent company. Oliver Wyman, nothing to be ashamed about that. You will get a decent salary, way above average. So don't worry if you end up with a good tier 3 or an excellent tier 2 management consulting firm. There are a few things that can happen if you apply this approach. So let's assume you already interviewed with a couple of tier 4 firms. You made some mistakes, got some rejections by these firms. Now you're interviewing a proper tier 3 firm. And guess what? Now you got an offer from them. Okay, and they expect you to sign it within 2 weeks. So what to do now? Should you sign it? Should you tell them you're not interested? Because you think you may break into tier 2 or tier 1 management consulting firms as well and receive offers there, and you're not yet there in the process. Guess what? Goldbrain made a video. You will find the link on top here to this video. There I will explain to you which kind of strange situations you can encounter during interviewing if you follow the Goldbrain process. And then you will learn how to deal with it. I'm sure you will like that video. I prepared a slide that summarizes the Goldbrain application process. I will give you some ideas about the timeline because that will usually help you to structure your interviewing process. Before you submit your bachelor's, master's, or PhD thesis, about 2 to 6 weeks before you do that, apply for tier 4 management consulting firms. These are the least important ones, and it doesn't really matter if you mess up. Also, non-consulting firms, as they take a lot of time to respond, usually they're not very fast, apply to these firms as well. You can apply to non-consulting firms all the time. It's not as critical because it's not really a dedicated industry which you want to get into, and there is not such a big hierarchy than in the consulting space. So immediately after you submitted your thesis, apply to tier 3 management consulting firms. One mistake you see over and over again is that people take big leaves or long breaks once they submitted their thesis. That's not the time to do it. I know you may feel exhausted, you need some recreation, but take a week, take 2 weeks, but not more, because you should care about your job, you should care about your career now. You can take a break later before you start your job, because many of the firms like McKinsey or Boston Consulting Group or Bain, they're pretty flexible when you start your job. So you can take a 1 month, 2 months or 3 months leave easily before you start. But first make sure that you got a signed offer in your pocket. So once you did your applications to tier 3 consulting firms, wait until about 50% cleared before you progress to tier 2 firms. With cleared, I mean that you either got rejected or that you got offers, or you're pretty much through the interview process with 50% of the tier 3 firms. The same I recommend for the tier 1 firms. First, wait until about 50% of the previous tier 2 firms have cleared. The process has cleared. So you got either rejected, you got an offer, or you're pretty advanced in the process and just waiting for the feedback. If you follow that approach, you can clearly improve your chances to getting the best offer you can. If you further want to increase your chances of becoming a tier 1 or tier 2 management consultant, if you're really dedicated, then apply to the Goldbrain SUCCESS Training under www.gabrielgoldbrain.com. You will find all the details. The ideal point in time when you apply for the Goldbrain training is before you submit your thesis. Usually we are very quick, we respond quickly to your CV, and we give you a clear signal if we think you got what it takes to become a tier 1 or tier 2 management consultant, and if you are eligible for the Goldbrain SUCCESS Training or not. Send your CV right before you submit your thesis. This training, the Goldbrain training, it will start right away after you submitted your thesis. Maybe take a week off, but not more. It's a full-time training, So we expect you to work every day 10 to 12 hours to get in the knowledge you need to be more successful in the process, to bring you further up in the ladder, to prepare you better than your peers so that you get a tier 1 or tier 2 management consulting job. Get my advice on how to deal with unpleasant situations during the recruiting process in video 1. Find out in video 2 why it is about 90% certain with a proper CV to become a management consultant if you follow this video's approach. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.